You you type docker run and pass a command at the end. Your container ignores it, or maybe it replaces everything, or maybe it crashes, and you have no idea why. The answer come down to two Docker instructions. That's CMD and entry point. And the way they interact is one of the most misunderstood concept in Docker. Today we clear it up for good. Welcome back to the kingdom. This is image number 6 in Docker 100 images 0 to architect. I am Himanshu Gupta. Last time we learned copy and work dir and how to uh, order of your copy instructions can make or break your build speed. Today we tackle CMD versus entry point. You have been using CMD in every Docker file so far, but there is another instruction called entry point. They look similar, they feel similar, and the difference trips up even experienced engineer. By the end of this video, it will never trip you up again. Here's the plan. We build a bash toolbox image three different ways. First with CMD only, then with entry point only. Then we will look at shell form versus exec form and why it matters for your process tree. Along the way, we learn the -it flag for interactive containers and build a genuinely useful toolbox image packed with curl, JQ, bash. So let us get into it. So as you already know, PWD clear. So we are in Docker 0 to architect folder, and under that we create image folder. If you list a content, you will see past 5 images which we have created. Like these are the 5 folders which contain all the details about each image. Now let's create a folder for the sixth image, that is mkdir 006 uh, bash toolbox. Enter. Let's go inside 006 by cd command. List the content of the directory. Nothing is there right now. Now, so for this, for the sixth image, like we are going back to Alpine today, small, fast, perfect for demonstration this concept without waiting for uh, large builds. So let us start with what you already know, like a Docker file using CMD. So vi Docker file, enter. Um, so we have added like 3 lines here. We start from Alpine 3.20, install curl JQ bash in one layer using no cache, and set the default command to bash. Um Now, CMD means when someone runs this container with no extra argument, run bash here. What this brackets inside CMD. So it is the default, the fallback. If nobody tells me otherwise, do this instruction, that is run bash. Okay. So let's build this first. Save with WQ and then the docker build -t for name and tag. So bash uh, toolbox, let's say name of this image and version 0.1, and dot is the current context. It will take a Docker file from this folder only, whatever we created. Okay, so let's run it. Now let us see what CMD actually does. For that, like let's run this image. Let's create a container out of it. So docker run -rm bash toolbox 0.1. So -rm will remove, like once our images our container is exited, then it will remove it from ps-a also. So let's enter it. And as you see, it started a bash and exited immediately. Why? Because bash with no input and no terminal attached, just exit. That is expected, and we will fix that with the -it flag shortly. Okay, but first let me show you the most important thing about CMD first. Okay, so let's run one more command. So the previous command with ls-l. Okay, so look at that. It listed the root directory of the container. But wait, our CMD says bash. So where did our bash go? Is it gone? Completely replaced? When you pass arguments after the image name in Docker run, those arguments replace the entire CMD command. Docker did not run bash. It ran ls and root directory. Uh, the command was thrown away. Let me prove it one more time. Okay, so let's replace a new command. So instead of ls hyphen uh, ls to root, let's do echo here, and echo cmd has been replaced. Okay, enter. So look at the this now. Docker run echo instead of bash again. The CMD is only a default. It is a suggestion. The moment you provide any argument at Docker run, the suggestion is ignored. So think of CMD like a restaurant's daily special. It is what you get if you do not order anything. But the moment you open your mouth and say, I want the pasta, the daily special is irrelevant. CMD is the daily special. Your Docker runs arguments are the actual order. So now let us see what happened when we swapped CMD for entry point. So let's update our Docker file, vi Docker file, and we are going to change CMD with entry point, and for that we go into interactive shell and then entry tryentrypoint entry point, and then save and exit. And the only change we have done is the last line, that is CMD becomes entry point. Now let's build with new tag. So for that, Docker build -t bash tool uh, bash toolbox 0.2 build context current. It is creating a file. Now here is where things get interesting, and now we are run it with extra arguments. So since image has been built, so let's run it. So Docker run -rm bash toolbox 0.0 -c is container echo hello from entry point. Okay, let's enter it. Look at the output. It printed hello from entry point. But notice what happened. Docker did not replace bash. Docker kept bash as executable and append our argument to it. So the actual command that run was -c echo hello from entry point. That is the fundamental difference. CMD gets replaced, entry point gets appended to. So let me show you another example. So let's run. So we just used our toolbox. So this command, what will do is uh, it will use our toolbox to fetch our public IP address and parses the JSON with JQ. And all his arguments append to the base entry point. The container is acting like a bash command runner and give it a command, it execute it through bash. So let's enter it. It will show 1 second. I think some I think sometimes it shows service is not available. That's why JQ is not passing. Otherwise, it will show like our IPC. Now it's working. So it shows our IP address. Okay, so that is like the fundamental difference. CMD gets replaced, entry points gets append to. So now let's try one more. So clear. So let's run Docker run bash toolbox image. Uh, inside echo tools available and which curl, which JQ, and which bash. So when I run it, so it will say like user bin curl, user bin JQ, and user bin bash. So see how every argument is passed to bash. Entry point logs in the executable, your runtime argument become its parameter. Okay. So if the CMD is the daily special entry point is the chef always works. You do not replace the chef. You just hand the chef different ingredients, different arguments, and the chef does something with them, and entry point is the chef. Now, let us talk about the hyphen IT flag. Uh, so you saw earlier that running bash toolbox 0.1 just exited immediately. That is because bash needs a terminal to interact with. Without one, it has no input, so it quits. The hyphen IT flag fixes this. Uh, hyphen I means interactive, like hyphen IT. This is the flag we use. And keep so hyphen I keeps a standard input open, and hyphen T means allocated a pseudo terminal together. So they give a live shell session inside the container. For that, like we will run Docker run hyphen rm hyphen it bash toolbox 0.1. Now you will see we are inside the container. This is a live bash shell running inside Alpine Linux, and you are root. See here dash. So that is root or pwd. You will see we are in root directory. Uh, Now try something like who am I? You will see we are root, or like which like OS release we are, like which OS we are in. So etc OS release. This are like Linux commands. We will go deep dive into the Linux section, but you can just see like when we want to see OS related stuff, you can run this command and it will show like which we are using Alpine Linux, and then which version we are using it, 3.20.10. So, or again, you can try that IP. Okay, again, see, let's just run this and we'll see if something comes up. Again, it's getting, so that's fine. So see, we have curl, JQ, bash, a fully functional toolbox here, running in an isolated container. This is incredibly useful for debugging. Need to test a network call from clean environment, spin up this container, need to parse some JSON. This container has JQ ready to go. Now let's to move out of the container, just type exit. Okay, the container is gone. If you see ps docker ps and docker ps hyphen a, so you see container is gone because we use hyphen hyphen rm while running the container. Now we need to talk about something that caches a lot of that catches a lot of people. There are two ways to write CMD and entry point. That is like exec form or shell form. So let deep dive into this. Let me create a demo.txt. We are talking about shell form versus exec form. Okay. So first, let's talk about the exec form. Exec form, what it is and how we write it. So exec form uses square brackets and look like JSON. For example, CMD bash command CMD and then bash. Okay. Or entry point and bash. Sorry, bash. So this run the command. So what entry point this exec form does is this run the command directly. No shell wrapper required. The process you specify become PID1 in the container. So this directly become PID1. Okay. Now shell form is just a bare text. CMD bash or CMD entry point bash. For example, uh, when you run CMD bash or entry point bash. So this is shell form. Okay, it's a bare text. This looks simpler, but Docker wraps it in like bin sh hyphen c behind the scene. So the actual process tree becomes sh hyphen c bash. So this come into sh hyphen c bash. So it wraps up with this bash hyphen c. Oh, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. So you see shell form versus exec form. Exec forms is in a square bracket, and the entry point with the square bracket. This is directly tied up to the PID1, but second one is like this is the shell form. It is tied to shell, like when we did not use any brackets. So like CMD bash, entry point bash, it will tie to sh-c bash. Okay. And Now, w- so actual process tree in shell form is like sh-c bash. The shell becomes the PID one, and your actual command is a child process. Why does this matter? There are two reasons. First is signals. When Docker sends a stop signal to your container, it sends it to PID1. If SH is the PID1, SH gets the signal, not your application. Your app might not shut down cleanly. Second, with the shell form, like entry point, you cannot append argument at runtime the way you expect. So let me demonstrate this. So we are again changing our Docker file. Let's clear it. We are Docker file. Let's change it from Studio so that it will be easy. Um, Here, let's draw PS and entry point without. Okay, let's save this. And so notice two things here. I added uh, pro CPS. So we have the PS command, and I write entry point bash without square brackets. That is a shell form. Okay. Now let's build a new image out of this. So Docker build -t bash again with new tag. It got built. Now let's run an interactive shell. Okay, so let's run it. Docker run -. So we are inside the container right now. Now run ps -aux. Look at the PID one here. It is bash command. Uh, and ps-aux is a child process with a different PID. Okay, and docker repdir command in shell. This is shell form in action. Now exit for exit exit. Okay. Now let us compare the Docker file. Again, change entry point with. Oh, what's that name? Okay, let's build a image out of this. Okay, and run the toolbox again. PS hyphen AUX. This is to show all the running process. If you see here, now look at PID1. Let me clear it. So if you see PID1, it is bashed directly, no shell wrapper. This is the exec form. Your process is PID1, it receives signal properly, it is correct way for production container. Now let's exit. So the rule is simple. Always use a exec form, the square bracket syntax for both CMD and entry point. Shell form exists, but you should know about it. But exec form is what you want in practice. Exec form gives you direct process control, clean signal handling, and predictable argument passing. Now, now let's run lazy docker once. So navigate to images and uh, find bash-toolbox 0.1 or 0.4. Okay. So look at the layer uh, here. The base Alpine layer is tiny. The APK add layer is where our tools live, and the CMD or entry point layer is practically 0 bytes, and it is just metadata telling Docker what to run. Compare the images; they are nearly identical in size because CMD and entry point do not add any files. They are runtime configuration, not build time addition. And so if you see 56 MB mostly, uh, I'm sorry, like 21.56, 21 dot or 20.7, it's almost same. Run Q, press Q for quit from the lazy docker. Now, if you want to see the history for that, run docker history command, uh, and you can see a like CMD layer at the top, that 0 byte, just a configuration marker. Now let's run on 0.2. Same structure, the entry point layer is also 0 bytes. The only layer with real size is run APK layer. That is where curl JQ bash lives. This tells us you important, like something important, that is choosing between CMD and entry point is not a size decision, it is a behavior action. How do you want your container to respond when someone passes argument at runtime? Okay, so let us save our work and make sure we are in project directory. So let's save it, git add all, git again, same format, git commit for 60 image. So git commit, and then git push. Oh. So if you are following the series, you now have 6 project folder under Docker course, like our Docker 02 architect, uh, and each with its own Git history. Okay, now interview question for today: what is difference between CMD and entry point? Here's the answer that shows you understand Docker, not just use it. CMD sets the default command for a container. It is fully overridable. If a user passes argument at Docker run, the CMD is completely replaced. Entry point sets the fixed executable that always run. Argument passed at Docker run are appended to the entry point, not substituted for it. Both should be written in exec form and the JSON array syntax. So the process runs directly as PID1 without a shell wrapper. In practice, entry point defines what the container does, and CMD provides default argument that can be overridden. They are often used together, which we'll cover in next image. That answer covers like this answer covers the override behavior, the append behavior, exec form, PID1, and the real world pattern. That is what separates a junior answer from a senior answer. Now let's wrap up and recap on our fingers as we do in all our images. So first one is like CMD. The CMD is the default command. Pass anything at Docker run, and the entire command is replaced. Second is like entry point is a fixed executable. Argument at Docker run are appended to it, not substituted. Third, always use exec form, the square brackets syntax. Shell form wraps your command in bin/bin/sh-c, and your process is not PID1 actually. Fourth is like -IT flag gives you an interactive terminal inside the container. -I for interactive input, -T for terminal. Fifth is CMD is the daily special entry point is the chef. You replace the special, but you keep the chef. Now the homework. Build a toolbox image with entry points set to curl in exec form, then run the container with different URLs as argument. Try curling three different APIs. Post your favorite API response in the comments. Next time, we'll do image number 7. We combine entry point and CMD together in the same Docker image. That is where the real power lives. You set the chef and default order in one image. That is next. If this helped, subscribe and join the kingdom. 100 images, one concept at a time. We are 6 down, and the concepts are getting deeper. And always remember, don't be the same. Be better. Always. Thank you.